Tom Brady and Irina Skayk have been in touch for a few weeks now, apparently. Her and Giselle are not friends, but they've been cordial around each other. They know each other from the modeling world, but it's not like they were friends, so it's not like, oh, she's screwing over her friend or anything like that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page. Make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe.
Do all the fun things.
Follow
everything. We're here to entertain you guys.
What are you waiting for? Hurry up, let's go.
Enjoy.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast, Raw Rundown. My name is Adam Glyn. This is where we give you the top 10 stories of the week. We try to make it short, quick, fast. It's never really fast. Always. We think about wanting to make it short and fast, but we haven't made it short and quick in, I don't know, a year now? More than a year. It's been that. If you heard the other voice, that's Dax Holt. We are the Hollywood Raw podcast. We try to give you the top 10 stories of the week, try to make it so you know everything that's going on in the entertainment pop culture world. How was your week, Dax?
Dude, my week was good. It was very busy, but a good week. I can't complain. What about yours?
My week, you know what I did this week? The first time in a long time, I went to the movies. I went to go see Oppenheimer. Is that what you call it? Is that what's the name of the movie?
I thought it was Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. I saw Oppenheimer. I went at 9:30 at night to see the movie.
Oh, bad move, bro. Bad move.
I did not know that
4.5 hours long or whatever.
I didn't know the movie was 3 hours and fell asleep 25 minutes into it. I was so pissed, man. I was so upset with myself because I was so convinced I was going to enjoy it. But it's long, man. It's interesting because if actually you listen to this past week's interview, we had an author who wrote a book all about the Oscars, this guy Michael, and he's an awesome guy. I highly suggest you listen to that interview. So I was like, you know what? I'm into the Oscar season now. Like, he brought me back into my love and passion of movies. I'm going to go see a movie. And I went to go see this movie, and it should not be 3 hours. It's way too long. It's a very slow movie. It's not a bad movie, but it's not. I'm not blown away either.
Are you mad you didn't go see Barbie instead?
No, I actually watched 7 minutes of Barbie because I snuck in the theater, and I was like, I just want to see what the hype is about. So I stood on the side of the theater, and so I watched about 7 minutes of it. It was interesting. It's a unique shot. You know, the movie did insanely well. I'm more upset that I haven't seen Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones. But I will say, I really do hope the movie theaters stay in business, because watching a movie in a movie theater is just a whole different experience than watching at home.
100%. And I'm telling you, I had 2 shut down right next to my house recently. Like, it was a huge bummer. And so I'm crossing my fingers more don't go out of business just because it's such a weird time right now. Was there the 15-minute sex scene that I've heard in Oppenheimer?
Did I fall? I don't even know. I might have fell asleep during that part. Oh, are you serious?
Someone said that, and I didn't know if it was true or a joke. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if that's actually in there.
You know what, dude? I'm not even joking. I fell asleep during the movie. I had not even just fell asleep. I was like in a deep sleep. Like, I was comfortable. I was like, I'm gonna go back to sleep and wait. You know, I was like, I love. Really.
We should just do a movie review podcast, because most of yours are like, yeah, I saw the movie. I didn't see anything in the movie, but I was there physically while the movie was playing.
I experienced the movie. But then all of a sudden, besides the movie, Drake was in town all week, and New York City's just been going through Drake crazy. And the Screen Actors Guild, the SAG and the Writers Guild, they're both striking. If you want to see a celebrity and you're in the East Coast or the LA area, the East Coast, New York City area, look up the writer strikes, look at the actor strikes, and just go to a strike. I would say there's about a 90% chance you're going to see some celebrity that you know. Are they going to be a big celebrity? I don't know. It's hit or miss, but there's good chances you'll see a celebrity. All right, that's my week rundown of my personal life. But before we get to the Raw rundown, the top 10 stories of the week, Dax, do you have a review ready for us?
Oh, I've got a review for us, and I'm grabbing this special. It's jumping the line just because I was bitching about it this week. So if anyone is in our private Facebook group, they may have seen me post that we got a really crappy review recently that just said the ads were ridiculous on our show, that they play too much. And so I went to our group and I was like, hey guys, I just need to ask you a question. Like, do we have too many ads? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't feel like we have more than any other show out there, just like the normal amount. And I got everyone started back like, no chance. Like, this thing is free. We appreciate, like, I just fast forward through them or whatever the case is. And there was so much love coming back that I appreciate it. And then this review comes in from Facebook Sucks from New Update. It's 5 stars. It says, not enough ads. Love you guys. I need you both to make that coin and put in any sponsors or ads you need. Laughable for anyone to think it's wrong for you guys to try to make money off of this. You two are amazing. Been listening for years now. You are my number one most listened to on my Spotify last year and probably this year too. Thank you for making my work days go by smoother. Keep up the excellent work. She from the Facebook group. Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
Thank you. I needed it this week because I was just so like bummed that someone would go out of their way to leave us a 1-star review for ads, and it got me really like spiraling. So thank you, I really do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Really appreciate the reviews. And if you want to leave a review, just go to we like to say using on iTunes. Go to iTunes, put in Hollywood Raw
it's Apple Podcasts. I always say iTunes, but it's technically Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, go to Apple Podcasts, put in Hollywood Raw Podcast, go all the way to the bottom, and there you can leave 5 stars and leave a review, say a few kind words, and actually leave your name and where you're from at the bottom of it so we can actually make sure you get the shout out. And we really appreciate that. And before we get to the Raw Rundown, I highly suggest that you listen to our podcast this week with Michael Schulman. It was
you loved it, dude.
I thought it was a really good
I like
interview.
when you
People
get excited over it. Yeah,
it was a really good conversation. It's funny, as a guy who's interviewed a lot of celebrities, I actually find it more entertaining to the people like the reporters that we've spoken to on this podcast who just have great stories and get their feel of being like the outsider in at the Vanity Fair party and what the vibe is like. It's just cool to hear their perspective. Okay, on to the top 10 stories of the week. Dax, what is number 10?
Number 10 is Kristen Bell lets her kids drink non-alcoholic beer, and she doesn't care what you think about it. So she was talking on a recent appearance on the Kelly Clarkson show about how her husband, Dax Shepard, and her let their kids, Lincoln and Delta, drink non-alcoholic beer. And I guess it started off because, Dax Shepard, he is sober. And so he likes drinking non-alcoholic beer. And so ever since a young age, she was just saying like, we'd be out for a walk or whatever. And the kid would like, oh, daddy, grab the bottle and put it in their mouth, and like started to get that taste at a young age. And so they just really enjoy it. And so they've been out to dinner before, and like they've been at restaurants, and the kid will like order non-alcoholic beer, and people find it very weird and like appalling, even though it's non-alcoholic. Just the visual, I think, of seeing a kid with like a beer bottle in their hand and drinking, I think weirds a lot of people out. And she's like, you know what? You can judge me if you want. That's your problem. She goes, I really don't care. There's nothing wrong with it. And I agree. There is nothing wrong with it. I think it's just more visually unusual because that's what it is. You're used to seeing kids drink lemonade and juices and stuff, not beer.
It's unique. It's interesting. It's definitely different.
Do you have a problem with it?
I mean, listen, it's not my kid, so I don't have a problem with it. I do think it's.
Would you let your kid drink non-alcoholic beer?
I don't think no. I don't think so. I don't think.
Why?
I would.
What's the problem with it? There's no alcohol in it, so it's literally. It's a.
Do you think a kid actually enjoys it?
Then.
Do you think a kid actually enjoys it?
If that's what they grew up with, there's kids who like Vegemite. So yeah, like you become accustomed to whatever you're growing up around. So I think if a kid likes the taste of it, I mean, I think it's kind of like soda water, but with, fermented whatever stuff in it.
It's funny. I've been to a bunch of Tony Robbins events, and Tony always said that, he doesn't drink because when he was younger, I think his parents said, all right, you want to try drinking? All right, drink a beer. Now drink another beer. Drink another beer. And basically got him sick off beer. Mm-hmm. And therefore he said, I will never drink again. So I don't know if this is a way of coping. So they just don't like it and they don't drink it.
But that's different because my mom did the same thing. No.
Yeah.
My mom did the same with me with smoking. I remember I had like found a pack of cigarettes when we were out for a walk, and I was like, "Oh, I want to smoke. Let's try." And she was like, "Okay." And she literally made me like inhale a giant puff, and it like almost made me vomit. And from that day on, I was like, I don't need this crap in my life. I think that's different from like letting someone try it and try it and try it, and they start to acquire that taste.
Well, it was different with you. Your story was a little bit more different because, tell more of the story. Your mom said, "Hey, try a cigarette at a young age." And then you got sick of it. Like, "Mom, stop giving me cigarettes. Give me syringes. And let's get to the real stuff." And then that's
and it was weed. She was like, "Here, try some weed."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, listen, it's definitely unique. It's definitely interesting. It's a unique way of parenting. Will it work out? We'll see when they're 18 or 21 how they react to college. I don't know. I think it's a good test. It's interesting. I'm sure they're not the only parent to do it. For me personally, I'm just not a non-alcoholic beer guy.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to have a beer. I'm not. That's just me personally.
But this is for people that they can't have beer.
I can't relate. But yeah. I'm not mad at them. I'd probably, if I saw that happening at a restaurant, I'd call it out. Like, "Hey, did you see that kid drinking non-alcoholic beer?" But yet again, I'm not going to walk up and say, "Hey, take that beer out of their hand." Like, I don't care enough. It is what it is. All right, number 9.
Number 9, Selena Gomez wishing her friend, is it Francia Aracia? How do you say her name?
Fran. Let's call her Fran because I'm sure that's how they.
Franny, Franny. She seems like a Franny. The happiest birthdays. If you've been following this, so Francia, I really don't know if I'm saying her name wrong. I am so sorry. But she's one of the stars of How I Met Your Mother. She celebrated her 35th birthday, and many years ago, she donated one of her kidneys to Selena Gomez. Like, it was a whole big thing. Is it kidneys, right? God, I am really not prepared for this story right now. She donated one of her kidneys and basically kept Selena Gomez alive. And then they had this weird like falling out after a little while where I want to say Selena said that Taylor Swift was her only friend only true friend in the industry. And she was like, "What the hell? Like, I'm your friend. I'm in the industry. I gave you a kidney. Like, what the fuck?" And so they had this weird, falling out, and a lot of people noticed that they weren't talking about each other on social media. And even Selena posted this beautiful birthday tribute to her over the weekend or during this week. And she never, like, Francia never like responded. She didn't like it or anything like that. So people are still kind of going, wait, so are you guys actually friends or what? And I think they've reconciled. I think they're doing good, but this was kind of like a big move for Selena to actually post about her because the falling out was such a big deal.
Well, Fran, let's call her Fran. Fran was doing set up paparazzi shots of her talking about her relationship with Selena, which was definitely didn't put Selena in the best of light. Here's Fran, who gave the girl her piece of her life, her kidney. So she now has one kidney because Selena has the other one. That's kind of like a friendship heart, where you like one person has one half and the other person. She has one kidney, she has the other. I like it. Yeah.
Ultimate friendship heart.
So, but then I guess when Selena made that comment, Fran was very offended. Fran was doing set up paparazzi shots to talk about the relationship with Selena. And then Selena all of a sudden posted this on Instagram, which to me was such PR spin because the title of the People magazine covers Selena Gomez wishes Francia Reza the happiest of birthdays and sweet tribute, I love you. The How I Met Your Father star celebrated her 35th birthday on Wednesday. Now, in my opinion, I'm like, when that title says in sweet tribute, in the article, they really don't discuss of why they had a rough falling out. They don't go into detail of the video shot, the paparazzi shots to anything
what
that
turned
went
Selena Gomez off from the friendship.
Exactly. It was just very weird PR spin, the whole situation. Do you find that?
I agree. I think this was definitely a spin move on their part, but I mean, whatever.
Listen, I hope they have a good relationship. It's just interesting how Selena's team, you try spinning it. Well, at least People Magazine tries spinning it in Selena Gomez's direction. Then I start to question, why would People Magazine do that? And I think it's to have that relationship with Selena. and the powers that be. It's just
I found it more weird that Franny never liked her Instagram post or commented back, because she posted one of her own about her birthday. So clearly she was on the app. But like, if Selena Gomez, who is one of the top people with 426 million followers, gives you a huge shout out, a whole post devoted towards you, and you don't even like it, I don't know. I found that interesting. Again, she may like it 5 minutes after we're done recording this, and then that doesn't make sense. But it does seem weird that she didn't interact with it at all.
I agree. All right, number 8.
Oh, number 8. It is Pete Davidson. He has now been ordered to complete 50 hours of community service after that Beverly Hills house crash. Remember, he was out driving with his girlfriend in LA and basically bulldozed over a fire hydrant, went into someone's front yard. No one was injured, no major damage other than the fire hydrant, and maybe some grass and stuff. But anyway, he is now taking the steps to right his wrongs 4 months after that crash. He has entered a 18-month diversion program after being charged with reckless driving, and that was back in June. And then I guess a part of the conditions of this program, he is to complete 50 hours of community service, which he can do in New York City with the New York City Fire Department, where his father, Scott, his dad, was a firefighter before he was killed in the September 11th terrorist attacks, when the building came down. So in addition to the community service requirement, he has to complete 12 hours of traffic school and appear at a morgue or hospital for educational purposes. And then he must also pay restitution and obey all laws per the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. So I guess a couple of these magazines, people had reached out to the fire department and they were like, absolutely, come. We would love to have you. Their quote was, as a son of a 9/11 hero, we would be happy to provide Mr. Davidson with an opportunity to do his required community service. I think that's really cool. I like this story.
I've heard through the grapevine Pete is actually doing really well right now. He's out of rehab. Remember, he went to rehab a few weeks back. It seems like it wasn't for any, from what we know, it wasn't any substance abuse. It's more just like kind of realigning himself. But apparently he is doing well and he's out of rehab. We haven't seen any photos of him, but he's not on social media. Like, he just kind of does his thing. But hey, Pete's, it was a weird thing. It's funny, when that story happened, when Pete got into his accident, everyone was trying to dig. Some of the major news sites were trying to dig more, and they were trying to basically ruffle the feathers with this and trying to stir shit up to make it worse, investigate to see if maybe he was under a substance. And it seems like at the end of the day, he was just speeding. That's really what it came down to. The guy was speeding. But he's going to do his time, I guess, his community service, and he just moves forward. So happy for Pete that he's in the right direction. Number 7.
Oh, number 7. This is my story, bro.
Yeah, you broke this story, so I want to hear what you had to.
I broke this story. Hulk Hogan engaged at the age of 69 to his 45-year-old yoga instructor fiance, Sky Daly. So I got a call this week, and a buddy of mine was just like, hey, Hulk Hogan just got engaged. I guess he did it at the Hogan's Hoagies or whatever. It's like that bar.
Hogan's Hangout. Yeah.
Hogan's Hangout. And he's just like, yeah, he popped the question to his girlfriend, who they've only been together for a very short time, but this will be his 3rd marriage. Remember it was Linda Hogan, who obviously him and her had a very public relationship on their reality show. And then he ended up divorcing her, getting with a new woman who he's with for 10 years. They broke up, and now he is set to marry his new girlfriend, Sky Daly. But there was video up on the page, his Instagram page, and I noticed that, she had this massive ring on, and no one knew that they were engaged yet publicly. And so I passed that information over to a friend of mine, and next thing you know, this is one of the biggest stories out there on every single website, and it's been getting a lot of attention. So mostly because he's, this is his 3rd marriage, and Hulk Hogan is still one of the biggest stars on the planet.
Dax, so I want to surprise you. On the line is someone who wanted to actually say "fuck you" is Hulk Hogan. Can you imagine Hulk Hogan came out like, "Dax, are you fucking you snake, you snitch?" What's so funny? I was talking to a buddy of mine. We said, "Who's the most recognizable person in the world?" And we actually said it was either Shaquille O'Neal or Hulk Hogan.
No, it's
Hulk
Lionel
Hogan's
Messi.
No. Lionel Messi
Yes.
can walk around. I wouldn't recognize him. I think
you are out of
Lionel Messi could wear a
fucking
hat.
control right now.
No.
Like, to say that he is literally the most famous person on the entire planet.
All right, you're walking in New York City. The Times Square is going crazy. Lionel Messi's wearing a hat. Do you recognize Lionel Messi?
Yes. He could be wearing a paper bag over his entire body. Be like, I'm pretty sure those are Messi's feet.
Dude, you're nuts. I would say Hulk Hogan or Shaq is the most recognizable person. You can't hide Hulk Hogan. You can't hide Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, but there's parts of the world where Shaq is huge, but he still may not be recognized by some little village in Africa where Messi would be.
I wonder if little kids or young kids know. Do your kids? Do they know who Hulk Hogan is?
No.
That's wild. I mean, it's kind of.
But we're also not like a big wrestling family. That's not our thing. You know what I'm saying?
You guys are more MMA, right?
We're the soccer family, so my kids would recognize Messi.
Are they obsessed with Messi?
Yeah. Well, remember, my wife's also from Argentina. Like her family's Argentinian, so like there's a lot of layers there that we're big Argentina and Messi fans.
So you're now like following Miami soccer because of it?
100%, bro. No, I'm actively trying to get tickets to when Inter Miami comes out here to play LAFC. I want to see. I want to be at that game.
Let me call Messi. Let me see.
All right, this is a lot of sports talk. People are already turning out. Let's
go. This is actually another sports story, but it made a lot of news. Number 6.
LeBron James' son, his son Bronny, had a health scare this week. He was at USC. He is one of their basketball players there. Really amazing basketball player if you don't know much about him. But he went into cardiac arrest and was transported to the hospital by ambulance at around 9:26 a.m. And it was, I guess, his condition was considered a code 3, which I don't know what code 3 means, but I'm assuming it's not good. And so they're not really sure what the hell happened, why his heart stopped. He is all good right now. He went in, they were able to treat him, and it all sounds like he's in stable condition, no longer in the ICU. It seems that he is good. As far as I've heard, there's been nothing more than this, but I think they're going to be probably testing him, trying to get some more answers of why a 18-year-old had a cardiac arrest during a basketball workout.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I think we just kind of want to learn more about like why something that could happen. I mean, we saw something similar happen to Shareef O'Neal, who's Shaq's son, who there was a lot of hype around his basketball career, and right before it's about to start, he had some heart issues of his own where he had to sit out a year because he had a big, he had something going on with his heart. I don't know exactly what was wrong with him, but pretty wild situation because he is the number one, I guess, recruit for USC and for college basketball. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. I think he's doing well. I'm pretty sure he's doing well.
But in his basketball career, I mean, he's already fantastic at 18 years old. And his dad is a huge supporter, always at his basketball games. So anyway, that was all.
Yeah. All right. Number 5.
Number 5, Kevin Spacey found not guilty on numerous sexual assault charges over in London. He pled not guilty to 12 charges of sexual assault and was found not guilty on all of them. So 12 jurors at this court have, I guess, deliberated, and this all happened Monday following a 3-week trial. And then they said, yeah, he is not responsible. So this is a huge win for him. Prosecutors were trying to label him as a sexual bully, and he took the stand to actually defend himself. Elton John appeared as a witness for the defense, testifying remotely from Monaco about Spacey once attending a gala in his Windsor home. So he was backing Spacey during that. yeah, for him to walk away from this and all charges essentially dropped, that's a big deal, a really big deal.
Yeah, it's I think, Kevin Spacey, who is an incredible actor, you just haven't seen him in years since all this stuff that came out about him.
Yeah,
The guy just kind of, his career just went completely silent. Now that he was found not guilty, can he bounce back?
And he was also, if you remember, and back in October, he was also found not liable in that civil sexual lawsuit brought by fellow actor Anthony Rapp, and that one was in New York City, and he was found not liable. So, like, I feel like all of this is good, but I also feel like it's also tarnished his reputation so much that how do you bounce back?
Yeah, it's going to be really pretty
It's almost
crazy.
like just take your money and dip under the radar and just kind of let it go, unfortunately. Like, in regards to your career, like, just go move to Lake Como and hang out.
Yeah, it's, how do you bounce back from this? I don't know. What do you do? It's going to be, it's just a sad, sucky, shitty situation overall. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, he was found not guilty by the court. I wasn't there. I don't know anything more about it, but just the whole situation. In my opinion, there's no winners in this situation. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Yeah.
It's sad because what was your favorite Kevin Spacey movie?
Ooh, that is a great question. I mean, I was a big House of Cards fan. Okay. So that's where my head first goes, is just to that over a movie. But what's your favorite?
I loved American Beauty. I thought American Beauty was awesome. I thought it was just a very cool, unique movie. It was fun. It was interesting. He was great in it. But again, will he be able to bounce back? It's just, again, there's no winners in this situation. It just sucks because I really enjoyed him. And I just don't know if you'll see him in that capacity ever again.
Yeah.
And it just sucks just how the world works now, how the industry works. All right, moving on. Number 4.
Whitney Port says that her husband is worried about her dramatic weight loss. So, I don't think it was just her husband. A lot of her fans have also been saying, you need to get help. You're looking way too skinny. So she addressed her weight loss, said she didn't really notice a change until her husband brought it to her attention. She says that Tim is his name, has been worried about her, which prompted her to sit down and really think about why she's looking so frail nowadays. And it didn't sink in until she stepped on a scale. For Whitney, she says she eats to live, not really the other way around. She's not really enticed by food, but if you go and you look at some of her Instagram photos, very skinny, very, very skinny. And I guess, one of the things is she even admitted back when she was filming The Hills back in the days that she was on like 1,000-calorie diet a day. Like, she just would barely eat. She wanted to try to stay skinny, but that has kind of continued on. So clearly there is an issue here. I'm glad that she's acknowledged it, because I think there's a lot of young women out there that look at her and go, oh, that's how I want to look. That's how I want to be. And that's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe for her to say that out loud, this is not the way to live, that this is not obtainable, and please don't do this yourself. I think that could be a really positive message that she spreads, is get the help that you need, or recognize that if someone says you don't look healthy, that you really take that and internalize it and go, okay, what do I need to do to make healthy choices in my life and be a healthy weight?
2 random thoughts from this story. 1, why don't we ever see Lauren Conrad anymore? And unless she's out and doing stuff, I just never hear about her. I never see her.
I think because she's not into the entertainment side anymore. She does her fashion, she does all these other things, and that's taking up all of her time. She's still a public figure, mogul now. Yeah,
still a public figure, but I just feel like you never see her, you never hear about her anymore. The other thing is Whitney Port. There's like a random story time. Whitney Port used to live in Manhattan. Remember, she got a spinoff called The City. And it's about her moving to New York, kind of pursuing her fashion career and just living in the city. They gave her this apartment, MTV, on Bleecker Street. And it was a beautiful, like, building apartment on Bleecker Street, right next to Magnolia Bakery on Bleecker Street. Right, she lived probably about 60 yards away from Sarah Jessica Parker. Like, just like if you're gonna live in New York City, you want to have that New York City moment.
Street, is that like the brownstones or whatever?
It's part of it's part of the brownstones. There's like cute stores, and it's nice. It's quiet. There's trees. If you're gonna live in New York City, I would say it's roughly probably the place you want to live. And MTV did hook it up for her because the rent on that building where she lived had to be. I don't know if she could even afford it now, but at that time she was living there while they were filming the show, and she actually did live there. She probably had a great life for a year or two when they were filming that show when she was living in New York, because again, you see her coming out of the building. I was like, wow, she actually lives there. Mm-hmm. And to be 24 years old, maybe living that, I'm like, man, I don't think she even realizes how good she had it. Maybe she did, but I don't know. Okay, random thing. I was just thinking about, like, man, that must have been so cool. So cool. Number three,
Ariana Grande's new boyfriend, Ethan Slater, apparently informed his wife, or estranged wife, Lily J, about the breakup a couple days before the news went public that he was dating Ariana Grande. So he informed his wife that he was done with their marriage, and then what do you know? All this news came out about him dating Ariana Grande. So one source close to source close to Grande denies it, but the insider tells Us Weekly Ethan sat down with Lily a few days before the news broke about him and Ariana and said he wanted a divorce. Lily never saw it coming, and that is according to someone talking to Us Weekly. And then another insider said Slater and Grande were separated when they started dating, and the relationship is recent. I don't know. There was he had posted about his wife. They had just recently celebrated their 10 years together back at, I want to say November of last year, right before he left to go film Wicked in London. And he put up a beautiful post about them, and they had just recently had a baby. And then what do you know? Ariana walks into his life and he's like, bye. Like, that's not okay.
Interesting guy. When you first saw this guy, I think everyone would be like, this is the guy that she's with now. Mm-hmm. I think it was a very unique pick. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I can't even say it. I'm going to say it. When you saw Ariana Grande at Wimbledon, mm-hmm. I say this with total respect, and I don't mean to.
I would not have recognized her.
I wouldn't recognize her. She did not look. I don't want to say she didn't look healthy, because she might have been healthy, but it was just like. There's something different. She looked different.
So here's my prediction. This dude just fucked up his whole life. We've seen this time and time again. Ariana Grande doesn't stay with people for very long. Like, it's just her thing. She, I don't see her staying with this guy. And he just threw away. By the way, this is his childhood sweetheart. They went to high school together. They got married. They've been married for 10 years. They just had a child. He literally ditched his high school sweetheart for Ariana Grande.
It's not looking good.
And he fucked this shit up, dude. He's going to regret this, because Ariana is going to be over this in 6 months from now, or 3 weeks from now, or whatever it is. She's going to move on with her life. And this guy has now lost his wife and his kid and the whole situation.
She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she got involved in. She's an adult. As far as he goes, it's funny, because from what I am hearing, all the reporters are reaching out to her family, his family, because they want to hear something from the sources. And, his family, people are speaking on all sides about the situation. They're just keep digging in it. And he's not coming across as a winner. And then, in my opinion, Ariana Grande's team's going to say, hey, listen, I don't think this is the right decision, because you're kind of looking like a home wrecker. It's weird in all senses.
Yeah, and so then she's going to end this quicker, and now he has no Ariana, has no wife, and his kid now doesn't live under his roof.
I'm just curious. I didn't break the story, but I'm curious, when the story broke, how did it actually come out? Who was the leak? And where did it come from? Whose side, and more? Because there was a leak, unless it was a PR thing, like, hey, the PR team says, hey, let's come together.
Well, a lot of people that were working on Wicked with them were saying that they were not private about. Like, they didn't hide the fact that they were clearly dating and that they were holding hands in between takes and they were all over each other. So, and that was before the news broke that Ariana was getting a divorce. It was broke the news before they said he was getting a divorce. And so they're seeing these two people all over each other going, what the hell? Both of them are married. Why are they on top of each other? So I think that it eventually was going to come out, and they knew it was going to come out. So I think that's why the news broke of her divorce quickly. And then like a day later, oh, she's now dating someone.
Yeah.
They had to get that out knowing that the news was going to break.
I love that perspective on you, Dax. That's why I have you as my co-host on the Hollywood Raw podcast. Number two,
Tom Brady and Irina Skayk have been in touch for a few weeks now, apparently, according to People magazine, and there's a spark between them. So
let me ask you this. Dax, before we get into the story, because you see people covering the story, are you more invested into the story because you find it more accurate and believable?
You know what? This one, the whole Kim Kardashian story, I'm like, I didn't believe that one for a second, This, I'm like, okay, yeah, we've seen them. There's photos of them out kind of spending the weekend together. There was a bunch of shots where it looked like she showed up to his home and then was like seen leaving the next day. So I'm like, okay, like this is a real story versus the Kim one where they were literally photographed for 1 second talking to each other at a public party, and then all of a sudden, oh, they're dating. Bullshit. This one is a lot more realistic, and so I'm invested now to talk about it. But I guess they had this whole meetup where she flew out to meet up with him in Los Angeles. They had this like cozy weekend. They spent the night Friday and Saturday at his house, and then they had met, I think, at a wedding recently, like Joe Namath's wedding to another model. And it happened in Sardinia in June. And that's kind of where they connected. They've known each other for, I think, a long time through just being in the industry. Her and Giselle are not friends, but they've been cordial around each other. They know each other from the modeling world, but it's not like they were friends. So it's not like, oh, she's screwing over her friend or anything like that. And yeah, this relationship makes sense to me. And it
does sort of make sense.
Yeah,
it does make sense. Do you think Giselle's, we can't say, I don't really know Giselle as a person. I've seen her a few times, but I can only imagine she's got to be like, ugh, like another model, like especially like on my level, or if it's like you're not going for someone like too much younger. I don't know. It just makes sense.
Yeah, but she may just be so over all of it that she doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I think she moved on mentally a long time ago. But I who else does he date though? Like, who else is he gonna go and hook up with that she's gonna be like, oh, that's a good match? Like, she's not gonna like it. Just like the next person that she's with, he's not gonna be into it. That's nature right there. You're not gonna want publicly. You'll cheer them on. You'll be like, oh, I'm so happy they've moved on. But internally, you're gonna be like, fuck that person anyway.
So I got a little story. So about 6 weeks ago, Tom was at some place. Mm-hmm. And the people there are like, hey, Tom's here. We got to surround women there. We got to surround the place, make it a vibe, and put women there and make them happy. I don't know if he was looking forward or the people who are kind of putting the shindig together wanted to just kind of make sure he comes back and likes the place, talks about it. So they put a lot of women around. And apparently the women were a little young and mature. But one girl got caught trying to like sneak a photo of Tom at the table, and they found the girl. They're like, dude, you got to go. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, get out. Like, what are you, nuts? Yeah. And I don't even think he knew what was going on, but the other people caught on or like, yeah, we're not about that. So scary time. Yeah. Listen, it makes sense. It's a scary time to be sort of single as a guy at his level because you need to be able to trust people and you want to kind of see if there's something.
And that's why I think they go for other celebrities or, like she's been with Bradley Cooper. She's been with Cristiano Ronaldo, two of the most famous people out there. And so I think he goes, okay, I can trust her. She's not going to be, don't go with Emily Ratajkowski, Tom. I'll tell you that much. Your photos will be everywhere, Bo. Yeah. But I think there's a certain level of trust when you're dating someone who's kind of also in a similar situation where, privacy is a really big deal.
Well, let me ask you this, Dax. I don't think Tom Brady is the type of guy who's going to call cameras on himself. But Irina, on the other hand, she has known people before for her career, for her longevity in the business.
Mhm.
Do you think she is the type of person that would call the cameras on herself to get those photos out there?
I don't know, because I don't feel like that
We don't know
happened a lot with
internally. Yeah.
Bradley Cooper. I mean, I feel like they got photographed on vacation and stuff like that, but it wasn't excessive. So I don't think she's down to do that. But yeah, you just never know at the same point.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how she is getting, she's kind of getting that life though with him that Giselle always wanted. Like Giselle wanted him to retire. She wanted for him not to be focused on football 24/7, to be able to have a life. So I could see that being kind of something that burns Giselle at the end of the day, where you're like, why does she get the time with him that I always wanted? Like, that kind of sucks. I feel bad for Giselle because I know how much she wanted that for their life, so he could focus on the kids and being present and not being, traveling all over the country for 6 months of the year. And so I think that's the only thing that was kind of sucks.
Yeah. All right. On to the number one story of the week, Dax.
Number one story of the week, of course, we got to talk Sinead OConnor, who died this week at the age of 56. We obviously know her from her big hit song "Nothing Compares to You," which was a Prince song, but they did find her in her home. I guess she was found unconscious. The police are saying that there is no foul play, but we don't really know what caused the death as of right now. She was found unresponsive, and so they're going to do toxicology and all that. And so maybe we'll see if there was anything in her blood at the time of her death that would have caused her death. She had a pretty rough a couple of years. If you remember, her son actually passed away in January of 2022. He died by suicide, and it all had a really sad negative impact on her and just troubled her deeply. I think she's been struggling a lot. So that's the one thing that I'm like, oh, at least she gets to go be with her son now, because that I literally could not imagine being a parent and having to say goodbye to a child like that. Just crushes me even talking about it.
Yeah, they found her inside her London home. The police do not believe that there's any foul play. They, as a factor. So obviously, when they do the report, we'll find out how, an autopsy will determine how she exactly died. My first thing is Sinead OConnor. She was the first probably musician, male or female, that was like shocking to me. And I say this in a very weird way, but growing up, early 90s, whatever it was, late 80s, and you saw women with a shaved head, you're like, what is this? Who's this person? And to me, she was kind of like a badass. I was just kind of shocked by her.
I just remember when she ripped up the Pope photo on SNL. Like,
she got banned from SNL because of that.
Yeah, but I remember what a big deal it was. Like, I was young at that time, and I just remember that's how I knew her for so long. Oh, she was the lady that ripped up the Pope photo, but I didn't, I didn't know her from much more. And for it to be such a big deal that it stuck in my head all those years is kind of funny.
She ripped up the Pope's photo on SNL because it was a response to the Catholic Church's alleged cover-up of the sexual abuse of children.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty wild moment. And
she didn't regret it, by the way. She never regretted that moment. She said, she was an artist. She was protesting. She was doing all this stuff. And she literally stood by everything, the backlash that happened around it. And it's kind of interesting because there has been so much controversy inside the Catholic Church after that even happened that, she clearly did it for a reason.
Yeah. And actually in SNL reruns, they don't show that moment, which is kind of crazy, of her ripping up the photo. I mean, I kind of got to give her credit, but she was definitely a legend. It's really sad. Obviously the last few years have been sort of rough for her, I'm sure, emotionally, but that she definitely left an impact. With that said, that is the top 10 stories of the week. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We have a private Facebook group called Off the Record. If you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Follow me at Adam Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. Check out our episode this past week with a great author, Michael. It's a really, really good interview. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.